Welcome to the MTG Misfits show, and today we're going to be talking about Standard, the meta talk, and I'm here with MTG.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, pretty excited to talk about Standard in the face of bans. We're in a weird moment right now where cards got banned, Corey Steelcutter, mono red cards, and the Omniscience deck died as well. We're in a weird middle spot of like they just banned some stuff, then we're gonna rotate some stuff out. So we got like a couple weeks for your store championships or whatever other big tournaments you're looking to play in.
And I'm fired up about it. I've been playing a lot of Standard, big rotation, a lot of cards rotating out that people probably seen on the ladder a lot. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about pretty much the top two decks in the meta right now that if you want to win, pretty much you're playing one out of these two decks. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other good decks, but I would almost say they're tier 1.5 compared to these two. And the top two that I am talking about, we'll get into the first one. Let's talk about Izzet Cauldron with the VV. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Vivi was the number one card, I think, from Final Fantasy that people were excited to break. I just didn't think it would be as broken as it is in standard, right? Is it Cauldron version of the deck is more of a combo oriented deck, and I haven't played it personally yet, but I've seen videos of others playing it, other content creators, and I've been really impressed by it.
Yeah, if you look up what's winning Standard, you'll see the Izzet Prowess / Izzet Cauldron deck, and I will pull it up on the screen right now. You got Prophet's Edict Memory, where you keep pumping the VV, and this deck has a lot of good synergy going for it. The highest curve is 3 for this deck, so it almost feels like infinite mana when you're playing this deck.
Like, it's pretty insane, like the amount of mana you can generate and the things you can do in one turn, to where even if they remove Vivi the following turn, like it's already done the damage. Then literally, like every time you play a non-creature spell, then it's going to deal the 1 damage to each opponent. So it's pretty insane, like how much you can do off of just Vivi not even attacking.
A lot of players are discarding VV and putting it into the graveyard. And then you have the Cauldron, which as soon as you exile it and put it on another creature, then you get another revamp of mana. And like I said, the highest casting cost is 3. So you're almost dropping your hand and drawing cards and dealing damage and pumping your creatures all at the same time.
Yep. And the prowess version that I'm playing right now doesn't have this whole Agatha Souls Cauldron combo. Like, it'll run like 1 in the main deck and a couple in the side. But what it's doing, what I have been able to do though, is because I'm running prowess creatures in the form of the tokens, the 1/1 prowess otters, and on a big turn where you're just running through a bunch of cards and making those creatures bigger, if you do have the Soul Cauldron out and you do exile the VV from the graveyard and then put a +1 counter on one of those creatures, well, now it has the VV ability and it's gotten all the prowess triggers for the turn.
Yes.
So now it's like a 7/7, for example.
Yes.
And you can activate the VV ability on it because it has the VV ability from the Cauldron. And now you're adding 7 mana, plus you have a VV in play, for example. And because there's a VV, here's the cool part that I wasn't aware of at the time until I started playing the deck. If you have a VV exiled by the Cauldron, even if you have one in play, it adds an additional amount that you can, it adds an additional trigger on it. So you can activate 2 times for the mana.
Right.
So it's
yeah.
double VV. It's pretty insane. So after that, then it's pretty much like, well, how much can you do here? How many times can you repeat this process and churn through your deck? So pretty cool stuff on 1 turn. Like I mentioned, like VV itself can deal almost lethal without even going into combat. It's pretty crazy.
A big part of it is that the Prophet's Memory. For each card you drew this turn, then you add a +1/+1 counter on it, and then in turn pumping up the VV or whatever whatever creature that has VV's ability, and then you're just gaining that much mana.
Let's say you're going to your store championship, and everyone's been on Dimir for a while because that's been a good deck for a long time, and you know, in paper it's different because people just buy what they can and they're not going to just switch over to a deck immediately, right? So let's say most of the room, you know, has these kind of decks that don't interact well with your problematic permanents like the Soul Cauldron. Oh, I can kill your VV. Guess what? Every creature now becomes VV for the rest of the game because you killed one of my VVs. You shouldn't have killed it, but you needed to kill it because it'll kill you. So it's pretty like resilient in that way. And I think that's what makes a very good combo kind of deck like this.
I would definitely put this at one of the #1 decks right now, even over the Dimir.
I agree. I think it's #1. I think that depending on how you want to play it, I think it's going to be fine to either do the Cauldron or just the straight prowess version.
Yep.
And I think both of them can, like, as long as you know how to play around the Dimir stuff, you can just beat Dimir. Like,
it's a good point about paper. You know, what is VV right now? $60 card? What is Cauldron? Like $50 card? This is a very expensive deck.
This is not cheap.
Yeah, this is not a cheap deck. Ever since the bans, I don't even know the bans. Even before the bans, this deck was running hot. This was a very good deck. But ever since the bans, which could lead us into the next top, there's only 2 top tier decks I would say right now. Lead us into our next segment is the Dimir deck. And by the way, I just want to say that these are the latest winning tournaments on MTGO 70-man. These are the deck list I have. They're all a little different. The prowess, like you were saying, or there's a bunch of different versions of the Dimir deck. We'll say the Is It deck because there's Is It prowess, Is It Cauldron. Only one Cauldron and more of the prowess. It's, to me, I feel like it's 50-50, and I look at this list every day. And I think either version is just such a solid deck to play because you could do so much with it. And this deck that I'm showing on the screen right now runs 4 Masterminds, 3 Kaidos, Enduring Curiosity. We talked a lot about that card, and the rest is, the cut downs and go for the throats. This is a pretty, not old school deck, but it was running the meta before mono red just kind of took over. This was the deck to play, to beat. The only new card they're running, which I like a lot, the Cecil for the Kato, or for the Kaido. It only costs 1. It's a 2/3. Once it transforms, which is very rare, let's be real, but once it does transform, it's also another huge threat. All your creatures gain indestructible. It has lifelink, and it costs 1 black. So I've been liking the version, me playing it personally, with the Cecils.
That's what makes this deck so good. So the way you want to view this deck is, like, it deals with what's going on the other side of the battlefield. It's pressuring you with its creatures, especially flyers, and Kaito, like you said, uncounterable with the ninjutsu. Right? That's pretty huge. But the whole point is it kind of plays out like a control deck because you're killing and drawing cards constantly. That's what you want to keep doing. You want to churn through your deck. They board wipe. Who cares? The whole point of it is that you are going to get more resources than your opponent, and you're going to diminish their resources by the time you beat them.
That is a good point. This list I'm showing, and I want to say it. I just pulled up the very recent tournament, 70-man, and the Dimir and the Cauldron were top 2, and this is the reason I brought it up. This one is not running 1 bat.
Yeah, I don't think this deck is really dying down post-rotation. If anything, like, once we get all the new cards,
right,
like, we could see this improving, right?
Yes.
Like, people run more, cards that were kind of fringe before and now are better. It's all the whole meta is gonna shift along with it. And as long as the core of this deck is together, that is the Kaito and Enduring Curiosities and things like that really push this deck over the top. which that's not rotating, right?
Right.
This deck is going to stay. So
Right.
I think this is a great choice. Even in the face of VV decks, I think that you can figure out how to play against those decks.
You know, Tishana seems like it's very useful nowadays.
Yeah.
Counter that VV, and then it's dead on the board.
The cauldron.
Yeah,
Counter the cauldron activations.
yeah, counter the Cauldron, the Planeswalkers. If you have a mirror match, counter that Kaido. Actually, I don't know the interaction yet, and I've been Googling it, but the only way you can counter Kaido is through something like Tishana Tidebinder, and then it just sits on the board and does nothing.
It's not going to die post rotation. Great option in standard right now. I think it's worth investing in.
Yep.
You know, if VV keeps like doing as well as it's doing and it kind of gets out of control, I mean, we could just see it banned as well. So like probably better to invest in a deck like this rather than that one.
Right.
Long term.
Right.
You know?
I did hold on to saying like we're gonna see VV banned because it's such a new card, but look at Steel Cutter.
Yeah.
Steel Cutter is brand new. I mean, that just came out. That just came out in what the Dragon
Storm.
The Dragon Storm, and it's already banned. I wouldn't be surprised, but then I would if BB or VV got banned that quick. That's a very good point you brought up earlier about how on paper is so much different. So when you're going, you check online and you're like, oh, if I'm not playing one of these top tier decks when I go to my local store championship, I just lose. Not true. Not true. These decks could be very hard to come up with the cards just to go to your local store and play. So don't be afraid to like venture out and try your own brews.
There's so many different decks, control, combo, aggro. There are so many decks that you can play. So that's a healthy format right there.